Hey, what's up everybody? It's Brenton Brown from Forza Tuning and Performance. And today I'm going to talk to you all a little bit about the 2021 Hellcat powered Durango that's coming out. Dodge released the 3 new vehicles coming out a couple weeks ago, maybe a week ago, something like that. And it's the much anticipated Charger wide body Hellcat Red Eye. Pretty much knew that was coming. The Durango Hellcat, or Hellcat powered Durango, whatever you want to refer to it as. And again, not a huge surprise. We kind of anticipated this. They basically had the entire infrastructure set up with the Trickhawk. And there was also some kind of hints, you know. So for instance, a lot of people don't know this, but if you have a SRT8 Durango, especially like 2020 or maybe even 2019, or a friend of yours does, if you look in the owner's manual, you can see like little hints, like the picture of the radio inside the manual, or the time will say like 707, just kind of like little things alluding to, hey, we're probably gonna put the Hellcat engine in the Durango. So that's kind of cool. So again, not a big surprise. And in the Red Eye Super Stock. So I'm gonna cover each one of these cars individually in separate videos, but today I wanna talk about the Durango specifically. The reason being is because number one, it's a very anticipated platform, and number two, they're only gonna make this for one model year. Okay, so we've got a lot of basically inquiries and emails and stuff asking, hey, what do we think of each platform? I want to do a package. I want to pre-order a car. Have you all already started developing? And yes, we've already started doing all that. Again, we're not reinventing the wheel here. We basically have this platform perfected at this point. We know the chassis dimensions of the Durango. We know all the dimensions of the Trickhawk, powertrain, the Hellcat engine. So we've already started the things that would be different. We know some people at Dodge that are nice enough to give us some information ahead of time, so we can work with the vendors and start developing things ahead of time. That's going to be crucial on this specific platform because we're only going to have it for one model year. Okay, so we want to take full advantage of anybody that wants to get one of these and have it modified. So a lot of people have been asking, what do we think? Are they only going to actually make it for one model year? Are they just doing this to hype up sales, get a bunch of people to come in and order right off the bat? And my opinion is no. I do not think that they're just making this up. Probably the biggest reason is the emissions laws, okay? So they're strict right now. And what a lot of people don't know is the emissions laws are different for different platforms of vehicles, okay? So if you're producing a sports car, you can get by and be compliant a lot easier, especially the largest SUV that you offer. They are under some of the most strictest emission laws. And a heavy SUV that could potentially be towing something is going to be more apt to put out more emissions than a sports car or a lighter weight or something like that. The big deal is the emissions laws are changing for 2022. And before we go any further, I know a lot of people are going to be like, are they going to stop making the Hellcat or the Challenger, Charger? No, this does not apply to any of the other Hellcat-based platforms except for the Durango. Okay, and the reason being it is because it's the largest SUV in their lineup. For the foreseeable future, they will not stop making any Hellcat-powered variants of the Charger, Challenger, anything like that. And to my knowledge, this is not even going to affect the Grand Cherokee Trickhawk platform. It's just the Durango. So that being said, all the Durangos are produced at the Jefferson North facility right outside of Detroit. So we got a few different things going on here. Obviously, everybody knows about the COVID pandemic. Okay, this has affected literally every sector of industry almost globally. Okay, I'd say there's probably a minimal amount of industries that is not effective in a negative manner. Except maybe the toilet paper manufacturers, the people that are building houses out of toilet paper, can't buy any. The toilet paper companies are probably like millionaires right now, but everybody else has been negatively affected by it. The factories where they have a lot of workers and space constraints, obviously they have to abide by very strict social distancing regulations, and they have to make the best choice for the safety of their employees. And so it's very hard to produce cars, which takes a huge amount of people and manpower in very close proximity with each other, and stay in that social guideline and keep everybody safe. So what a lot of manufacturers have done is stop production, drastically slowed it down. So the amount of cars that have been produced and will be produced now and in the short-term future has been drastically lowered. This just happens to fall in the exact time that they were going to release this Durango. And they've been working on this for a while. This isn't something they decided to do 6 months ago. They've been working on this and they were planning on this. And it just so happened that this COVID pandemic has come about, directly in the same time frame. And Dodge probably, when they started thinking about this, really wasn't aware of the changing EPA requirements in 2022. So I don't think it's been anything on purpose. I think it's just been a couple things that have combined together. So the Durango is not going to be a limited production car. And what I mean by that, it's not going to be like a serialized car like the Demon, where they're only going to make X amount and that's it. So they don't really even know how many they're going to make. It's basically going to depend solely on customer demand. So they're going to start taking orders in fall of this year, so 2020, and they're going to start production early of 2021. And they'll be shipping units out shortly thereafter. So based on the amount of orders they get from customers is going to be how many units get produced based off how much time that they have. So, they don't really have a clear-cut gauge of how many people are going to order or not. From the stuff that I've read and the people that I know that are higher up at Dodge, the numbers that I've heard that they estimate is around 2,000. So I don't know how accurate that'll be. Again, it's just a guess, but a lot of it is going to be because they only have so much time to produce X amount of vehicles. And also they are getting ready to release at the end of 2020, the next generation Jeep Grand Cherokee. That means the same plant that produces the Durango produces the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and they're going to have to retool the entire line to produce the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. So this plant is not going to be able to operate at maximum capacity with the COVID stuff and the retooling and the new Jeep Grand Cherokee. That's going to hinder how many units they can make. The Hellcat powered Durango has the potential to be an even more rare Hellcat powered vehicle than the Demon. This could be a vehicle that could be potentially worth a lot of money later on down the road, or a very sought after vehicle. Being as how we only have a limited amount of time with this platform, we wanted to get everything in place with the vendors that we deal with so we can start modifying these and building these for people with minimal delays. Time is going to be the essence of this platform for sure. Now, I will mention that this new EPA emission standards or regulations, it is not going to affect any other Durango model except the Hellcat powered. So all the other Durangos are going to be just like they were, same thing. So no need to worry about that. As far as like what we're expecting performance wise, so based off the knowledge that we know from the vehicle weight of an SRT8 Jeep Grand Cherokee versus a Jeep Trackhawk or an SRT8 Durango. And so we're estimating that this vehicle is going to weigh roughly about 5,600 pounds, 5,650, or about 300 pounds heavier than a Trackhawk. It's going to be a little bit less aerodynamic, but again, the Trackhawk is basically shaped like a brick, so it's going to be minimal right there. So I expect it to be, almost on par with the Trackhawk. If the two are racing side by side, the Trackhawk would probably pull away from it a little bit. They're claiming it at 710 horsepower. Now, this is more of a marketing ploy than anything. The Hellcat is not exactly 707 horsepower. If you put it on an engine dyno, it's going to be higher than that. And it's not just coincidence that the Demon is 808. They make these numbers for more marketing purposes as opposed to an exact accurate horsepower number. So it's the same platform as a Trackhawk. The engine calibration is going to be the same. They're just bumping the number so it's something that's higher so they can claim highest horsepower SUV. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a very powerful SUV. It's going to be an impressive platform. As far as modifying goes, I think it's going to be very in line with the Trackhawk. A lot of the same parts will get used. A couple of the things I have on the table, the stuff we always use. So, leg maker cold air intake. We use these all the time on the Trackhawks. The Durango has no functional ram air, just like the Trackhawk doesn't. So we're going to use these. Based off the dimensions and stuff of the chassis and the engine, we can already develop these prior. So Chris over at Leg Maker Intake is already working on this way ahead of time. Stuff like the injectors, the balancer, these are all going to be the same because it's the same engine. AMSOIL, boostane, plugs, suspension stuff. So we've already been talking to Zach and Parker over at AAD. Chad with Black Ops, he's big on the Trackhawk based billet suspension stuff. We are all working together to come up with stuff immediately, and we can use the Durango that's presently out to build these items. So when it comes out, we already have stuff ready. Again, everybody's familiar with performance development, their DRS brace. You might be wondering why I have a DRS brace that everybody knows is for a Challenger Charger platform, and I'm talking about a Durango. That's because if I were you all, I'd be looking on Chris's website and looking for an update, because you might see something similar to this for a Trackhawk very, very soon. Just a little heads up. Headers, again, American Racing header. We've already test fitted the header stuff in the Durango platform. We know they're going to work with the Hellcat engine. We've already got all this figured out. That basically sums it up. I just kind of wanted to talk about that and kind of clear up about the limited production or the one model year. To me, that was pretty interesting when I first heard about it. So I just kind of wanted to touch base, talk a little bit about what we had planned for it, what we expect performance-wise, about only the one model year of the Durango. So any of y'all that are wanting one of these, I would suggest that you get on the list and order immediately, because you're gonna have limited time. And for any of y'all that are out there and purchasing vehicles that you're anticipating being worth money down the road, if I had to guess, that this will probably be one of those. It's kind of gonna be like the Demon, only probably even less production numbers than the Demon. Kind of got everything out that I want to say about that. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna release another video based off the Charger wide body red eye, and then we're gonna talk about the super stock red eye. Super stoked for all these platforms. I love what Dodge is doing. So this about wraps it up. So I'll see you guys on the next video. Just in case I don't pick it up. Good.